Can you tell us how you met Dr. Aris, how he mentored you on your journey and your friendship with him?
Okay. Well, I have been a healer for 53 years. So I think I've been here longer than all healers basically who are living. So he came to this same house, right here in Park Place. And we didn't exchange. It wasn't a mentor, we didn't exchange. He brought live food into the community, 100% live food. Because to be a vegetarian, I was vegetarian all those years. I was always eating live food, sun-cooked foods cooked by nature. But I also did some steaming, and not baking, but steam foods. So he was 100% raw. So he was doing a workshop with his wife and himself at that time, and he was making these pies, these delicious live pies. And I said, well, let's do a barter. I don't remember how much his workshop was, maybe it was $40. And it was at his home. And at that point, I was doing polarity energy work, balancing energy work. So I said, well, let me give you an energy session. So we did an exchange. He came here on the second floor at my center here, and we did that work. And from that point on, we've always had this beautiful relationship. He's a Conrad. We're Conrads, like myself and Dr. Africa is a Conrad. High level respect for each other's work. So over the years, we went into same locations. Many of us who was studying and growing in metaphysics and cultural healing and holistic health, we went up to what is called Aquarius on 125th and 7th Avenue. He was there also. I was there studying, and Dr. Moore and Kanye West and John Harris. From there, retreats happened. We were all in the same mix, in the same community. Lloyd Strayhorn, Numbers and You. So we all grew up together. So that's more of a Conrad and us working together. And even during this time, he's so strong and resilient. And he's had businesses. He opened, closed restaurants. He had a restaurant here in Brooklyn, and I would have my Saturday meetings with the Sacred Rites of Passage. We get on our bus, we have a bus, and we're going out to either the ocean for spiritual work, or we're going to the botanical garden for herb work. And he had a live food restaurant and juice bar, and we would all park in front of his place and get our live juices and get our green wheatgrass, all the greens that he had there at his restaurant, and we supported him through the years.
Before you move on, where did the live vibe come from him? Was that a Dick Gregory thing? Where did he get this?
The live. Dick Greg wasn't 100% live. Dick Greg was to me, and I studied Dick Gregory's work, his book, Cooking with Mother Nature. So I would say that it was probably a combination. I think Dick Gregory inspired most of us through his writings and his civil rights work, his human justice work. Dick Greg was inspired from Alvenia Fulton, who inspired me. Dr. Alvenia Fulton, she was a naturopath out from Chicago. And so when I went to see her, she told me about him being her student at the time, and as well as Muhammad Ali, so she was a big force, Dr. Alvenia Fulton. She's now an ancestor.
How long did you work with her?
I didn't work with her, I seeked her out. I have family in Chicago. So I went to Chicago looking for her because I found out about her through Dick Gregory. And then at that time, she was in China studying. And then another time, she had a little shop, a herb shop. Another time I came and she was there. And I was looking at her like some young people look at me. And I was in awe of her. And she had pictures of Dick Gregory. She had a picture of many of the greats, and I would like, oh my goodness. She knew who I was without knowing me, because she took me downstairs in her basement. It was very peculiar. She said, come here with me. And I went downstairs, and all her team, mature women, they had their white lab jackets on, and she had all these refrigerators throughout the basement of gallons and quarts of tonics for diabetes, because she would make everything. So you have these big quart size containers you would take home and drink it down. So she made their tea. Diabetes, high blood pressure. One thing she told me, she said, if they come for you, why would she tell me? If they come for you, just tell them you're making soup. Basically, you're feeding the people. Food is medicine. So I just took that on, and so she said, you're seeing something in me that I cannot see in myself yet. But she had the wisdom, and she was my inspiration as a result.
Did she ever speak about who inspired her?
She did not speak about who inspired her. But I would say that Imhotep inspired us all. That takes us all the way back to the first healers, the first doctor, holistic and allopathic, because he did surgery, but he also worked with herbs to heal us. So Imhotep. And then who was his mother? Who nursed him? The spirit of Mother As, the great mother. But then there's another woman that inspired me in terms of African culture and beauty, and that Empress Okweke. We'd had the International Arts Festivals in Brooklyn. And this International Arts Festival, would be given at Boy and Girls High School. But before that, it was at 10 Claver Place, right off of Fulton Street. And that was the beginning of us having our own schools, cultural schools, but we didn't send our children to public schools. I didn't send my children to public schools. I had cultural schools that were based on vegetarian lifestyle. They were not eating any flesh, and they were living natural. And there would be Baba, Kwame, Mama, Sunshine, and those would be their teachers, because it was a family during the daytime, where you're not just putting your children in school, that they have to be frisked and have high security. Security was cultural people, families, healing families. So you knew your children were in a safe place. And so that was the beginning of, in the 60s when it all happened. And it was in Hurasasa, and that is where was the International Arts Festival. And I heard and saw Farasana's play there. And the song was Creator Has a Master Plan. That became my theme song for 50 years. For 50-something. 1969, the Creator Has a Master Plan. And the Creator has that. We're the plan. And we plan. If you don't have a plan, you're going to plan to fail. You have to have a plan. You have to have a strategy for wellness. And between my father and the Farasanas and the greats of our time, I said my plan is to liberate us, liberation to purification, to self-transformation, healing.
Where does this resilience come from? You've been doing this a long time. As Jamaicans say, you've been trotting this thing for a long time. So where is that resilience coming, and why didn't you just throw in the towel and say, hey, I had enough?
Because I can't give up on the truth. The truth is healing. And I can't give up on my people. I'm clear why I came on the planet. If you don't know why you're here, then you're going to be in trouble. You're going to go down some rabbit holes you may never get out of. But once you know why you're here and how you're supposed to serve, then you are charged. You're energized. I'm energized. One of our people say, I'm better. I'm getting better. I kept my legs. I didn't have to have a knee replacer, a hip replacer. I didn't have to have a heart pacer. I'm off of the medication for my pain. That is quite energizing, So I have a very love for my people. So after what we've been through, I went to Ghana to never come back here. And that was 20-some years ago, because I was on a radio show at Medgar Evers College. And I said, well, you can get rid of pain. You can use clay, you can use dark greens, you can use your kale, your chard, your turnips, juice that, goes right to the bones, the joints, gets out that pain, that inflammation. And I remember a doctor came on and said, you're a quack. And it was not like it was embraced back then. It wasn't embraced. And so I said, what, I'm in the wrong country. That's how I looked at it. I said, all this comes from the motherland, comes from Africa. So I'm going to leave now. And it took me a year to get myself together. And I did go to Ghana. And I packed everything. I packed everything I had. And I also had a client who came here. His name was Joe Minsa. and he was looking to get healed. And he loved the colonies, he loved the healing baths, he loved the food as medicine. So he was an artist. He's not here. He made a transition. So he wanted to open up a healing village in Ghana, and he wanted me to run it. So that's why I initially came. It did not happen. Other things had to happen. I had to come back here with my village from here.
How long did you live out there?
I was there for several months, but I was I was going to stay for my life, and my children. I was going to get everything set up so I could bring my children over, and we'd have had a different life. But I had to come back, and one of the things I had to write the book Sacred Woman, and I wrote it from the women that are here, right? My village of women, village sisters, mothers, daughters, yeah.